Happy Taurus season, everybody. The sun moves into Taurus on April 19th, in the afternoon, and we'll be there for the next 30 days. So happy birthday to all my Taurus babies. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So fixed is the quality of being very solid, stable, persistent, dependable. It's not very quick to jump in or to shift. And earth is the element of being very grounded, very practical. What do I need? What do I have in my body, in my bank account? Like, are my needs being taken care of? So, to have a fixed earth sign in Taurus, some important themes for Taurus are all about a sense of security. Do I have enough? Do I have what I need? Do I feel safe? Do I feel secure? Do I feel like I am on the ground and not going to fall? Um, Taurus has a tendency to be cautious and careful, to plan for things strategically, not to just jump in and risk take. So there's a sense of being very pragmatic, very hardworking, dependable. So here's my question for you. First of all, is where do you have Taurus in your chart? So, what houses, usually a sign occupies two houses. It'll be on the cusp of one house. Occasionally, it'll be completely intercepted within the body of one house, and occasionally it will rule two house cusps. So it's really taking up extra real estate in, spanning over three houses. But take a look at your chart and figure out where you have Taurus residing in your chart, because that is an area of your life in which you may be more cautious and really need to feel safe and stable and grounded. And just having that awareness, you might be like, oh, wow, that's really true about my experience. If you have it on the cusp of intimate partnership and relationship, maybe you bring more caution and more of like what I need in relationship is to feel very grounded, stable, solid. Maybe you're bringing in a Taurus or an Earth partner when you have Taurus on the house cusp there. If you have Taurus in your 10th house of career and how you put yourself out in the world. Maybe you work in finance or real estate or something that relates to beauty because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is all about beauty and what we value and what has value. Um, if you have that on your fifth house, maybe you're very artistic in terms of beautiful things and love fashion and makeup and cooking, and you create through earth, through things that you can touch and taste and smell and see. Um, I personally have Taurus on my second house cusp, and second house is the natural house of Taurus, which is the second sign of the zodiac. Um, and Taurus, for me, in the second house is about I value my own self-sufficiency. I value my body and how I caretake my physical body, my physical things. So you might want to look and see what information that gives you. Okay, I also want to talk to you again about values specifically. What do you value? Because Taurus is asking us to have a plan and be solid and steady around the things we most value. Okay. And one way that I work with clients to figure out really what are their core values, I have a values list, which I can send you if you're interested. Drop me a line and I can, give you a link to that. But I work with this in a way of like when someone says, okay, this is what I want, or this is my goal, or this is what I'm working towards, I'll ask, why is that important to you? Okay. And then they might say, well, because blah, 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 blah. And then I'll say, well, why is that important to you? Tell me more. What's behind that? What's the driving, you know, value behind that? And you keep pulling the thread back farther and farther and farther, like you're, panning out or maybe panning in. I don't know how you would think of it, but you're really trying to get to what's at the crux of why this thing is important to me. Because really, what that's showing you is what you value, right? I value personal freedom. So people value money. We're in a culture that values money, that values, having nice things, looking a certain way, whatever it is. But if you get behind that, why do I value money? Well, it buys me time to spend alone in other pursuits, or it buys me time to, spend time with my children and my family. So then what's behind that? Oh, spending time alone in my own pursuits. What is it that I'm doing alone? Well, I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm walking in nature. Well, what's behind that? I appreciate wisdom. I appreciate beauty. What's behind that? I am connecting to things on a soul level. I want to connect to my inner sense of being and part of everything. When I'm spending time with family, what's that about, right? It's about relationships. It's about love. It's about generosity. So, what is it that you value? You may think you value money, and really, it's something much deeper than that. So I invite you to do that. I'm going to show you a couple of tarot cards related to Taurus. So Taurus in the tarot deck is the Hierophant, um, sometimes called the High Priest in some decks. It took me a while to understand the connection between this card and Taurus. But here's what I think it's about. So first of all, I'll show you, this is a more traditional based on the Rider Waite deck. But this is the an illuminated tarot deck. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Okay. Well, this the Hierophant, it usually shows like a priest figure. Notice he has one finger pointing upward towards the heavens, holding a staff, which is drawing down from the heavens down into manifestation. There are two devotees or students at the feet of the sage. So this is very much a card of someone who has a very strong connection to spirit, to a higher religious or spiritual truth, to some more ancient or eternal wisdom, and is transmitting it and embodying it and transmitting it to others. So that's the essence of the Hierophant card. In this version of the Hierophant, you don't see him transmitting to someone else. You do see this kind of staff image, which also is reflective of the Kabbalistic Eitz Chaim or Tree of Life, which is how the infinite one, the Ein Sof, the one that is without body or form or beginning or end, how that spirit manifests through different levels and really is drawn down into an embodied form, right? So that's represented. You'll also see that stairway, which makes me think of Jacob's ladder, that Jacob falls asleep and is on the earth dreaming. And in the dream, he sees a ladder and the angels are descending and ascending, right? Running and returning from the heavenly realm to the earthly realm. So there's a sense in this Hierophant card, in this Taurus card of I am connected to a deeper, higher, transcendent value, which really has inherent meaning and purpose to me. And I'm drawing it into my physical way that I live my life, right? My life is designed around and is guided by my deepest core values. So all of the decisions I make, the reason that I'm cautious in my decision making, the reason I'm slow and steady and working hard to accomplish my goals and to have what I need is because it's values driven. And it comes from a deeper sense of purpose. And if you've ever known a Taurus, I have a Taurus daughter. I have a very dear friend who's Taurus. Tauruses can be, they get the rap of being stubborn, right? They're often represented by the bull, and even the glyph of Taurus is the bull. And we think of solid, stubborn, like a mountain, unmovable. But it's not based in ego. It's based in deeply held personal beliefs that you're not going to shake me, move me, and convince me of something other than what I truly hold as my truth. I'll show you one more card, and this is from a much more modern deck, which I think is hilarious. It's called the Millennial Tarot, and this is the Instagram guru, which we know there are lots of TikTok and Instagram gurus, and here I am talking to you on YouTube. Um, but this feeling of having some wisdom and really being open to receiving, and then also kind of putting that back out, right? Offering it to others. If we just gather what we want, we become hoarders, right? Hoarders of wisdom, hoarders of our money, hoarders of, you know, whatever it is, possessions, right? And Taurus is very earthy in possession. And, you know, I'm not against people collecting things that they love, but at some point, what are you doing with everything that you're collecting and owning, right? What is the purpose of that? And there's an element of wanting to give back that is related to Taurus, that it's not just for me and I'm going to hoard and feel. Hoarding comes from a scarcity mindset, right? Of I will never have enough. Do I have enough? I'm afraid that I'm not secure. So I'm going to keep gathering, gathering, gathering. And that gives me an illusion of security. But true security is feeling that I have enough and more, and I can share, and I trust in abundance. I trust in the earth to provide for all of my needs. I trust in the higher universal God, whatever you want to call it, to provide for all of my needs. So when I'm sitting grounded between heaven and earth, I know that I'm fully protected and safe. And that's the ultimate journey and goal of Taurus, is to feel safe within this life, within this embodied, um, existence. So, okay, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this gives you some things to think about for the month. Again, take a look at your chart. Where do I have this extra need to understand what it is I value and be intentional, generous, and manifest and embody and live those values. All right. Have a great month. Reach out to me, please, with any questions, comments, thoughts, and I'll see you again soon.